Welcome back, crew heads. This is your bud Esperanza, and this is MCRC Review. Last week we covered accuracy, and this week we'll be discussing timeline. The Dirt did a great thing reintroducing Motley's awesomeness to the world and giving relief from the non-existent music scene that we experience today. The film acted as a vacation from today's modern disappointments. When I sat down and watched the film, I found myself confused, and this is why. I feel like the director and the writer were mixing elements of a documentary with a traditional narrative film. Today we will be covering 3 points, and that will be disrespect to an era, confusion, important figures, places, and events. The movie began with a party scene, which is good. Motley Crue is known to party, and it introduces the developing metal scene and the personality of the band members to the audience. The narrator was complaining about the 80s, which is destructive to the film because Motley Crue embodied every aspect of the 80s and were being attacked by the narrator for it. All this together made the movie contradictory and sarcastic, which is never good for a biopic. People watch biopics to learn about people, not have the person they're learning about being made fun of. Bands like Motley Crue came from an era where caring about your image was condemned. Promoting the very thought of that is silly and disrespectful. Confusion. This was a big one for me. When you are looking at the Dirt from a point of view of someone who's just watching it, it was very confusing and disorganized. The scenes were too fast. It felt more like a documentary showcasing events, not telling a story. There really was no build-up or characterization. It was almost like we're watching a documentary about Motley Crue, but not a movie about Motley Crue. You get what I'm saying? Movies tell stories. Documentaries document events. It's like the heads of the production were confused about the direction of the movie. All eras of Motley Crue were distinctively different, and I'm not just talking about style, I'm talking about different events of their lives.
It's the first time we've been a band in 4 equal components.
I mean, every single night we're playing. Mm-hmm. We have maybe, well, it's like 5 days a week we play. I mean, it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of work, but, you know, that 2 hours on stage is just all worth it, you know.
Mm-hmm. It's exhilarating, isn't it?
Yeah,
a high that you don't get the rest of the day.
Yeah.
I hope.
In the 80s, the band was touring around the world. In the 90s, they were missing Vince and Tommy. The 2000s had solo careers, reunions, family life, and other factors. So making sure that each decade had a distinction was and is important. The Dirt did not achieve this. The transitions were vague. Some of the events that were happening in the 90s and the 2000s were happening in the 80s. Dude. What's going on? The movie supposedly ended in the 2000s, where Mick had his hip surgery. The movie supposedly had this in the 90s. Which isn't true. In the movie, they had Skylar around in the 80s, when in reality, she was not around until the 90s, and unfortunately died then too. It's like they combined Neil, Elizabeth, and Skylar in one kid, right? Neil wasn't born until the 70s when Vince was in high school. Elizabeth was born in 1983 and Skylar was born in 1991. The lack of accuracy and the distortion of the timeline made everything hard to follow. Important figures, places, and events. Let's jump back to the beginning. Now, the movie started with a party scene. In reality, it should have started at the Starwood, which conducted their fame. Nikki worked at the Starwood and organized Motley's first performance as a band there. It would have been good to show the audience a legendary club on the Sunset and an ideal transition. Ozzy should have had a real introduction. His character was kind of thrown into the story, and he wasn't really acknowledged as a friend of Motley Crue. He was also really good friends with Vince Neil, and the movie did not show that, as well as their relationship with Van Halen. And Tommy's first concert was a Van Halen, and my first concert was also a Van Halen concert. So you can see they're very important to Southern Californian teens.
Here to see autograph?
Sorry, dude, it's a closed rehearsal.
What? No way. Closed rehearsal, huh?
That was the band Autograph. In the beginning, that was Vince, Cherise, and Ozzy Osbourne. Vince and Ozzy were really close and were known to be really good friends in the metal community. Not having a comprehensible timeline results in a very confused audience, especially those not familiar with Motley Crue. This is not only a biopic, but is also a movie. And movies are supposed to be easy to understand. And like and subscribe. And if you have anything to say, sign off below. And this is Esperanza, your host from MCRC Review. Adios.
I need you, I want you to be my tonight.